Welcome everyone. Thank you for coming out in this lovely day as we acknowledge the beginning of winter weather here at CDOT. This is our Winter-Wise campaign. We're thrilled to be joined today by our winter safety partners, including Colorado State Patrol, the I-70 Coalition, AAA Colorado. And we're all here to deliver a collective message ahead of the holiday travel rush. So we thank everyone for joining us, and the main message that we to convey is that winter is here. Drivers, it's time to prepare accordingly and be ready for winter road conditions. So in December, we have historically seen the most passenger vehicle crashes along the I-70 corridor. December has been the most hazardous month. Last year, we had 46 crashes on the I-70 mountain corridor, which was nearly a quarter of all the crashes that happened between October and April. Passenger vehicle traction law infractions caused 26% of those crashes last December. As far as delays go, we know that lengthy travel times along the I-70 corridor are nothing new during the holiday season, and crashes and spin-out vehicles only exacerbate those delays. And again, traction law violations caused nearly 288 hours worth of lane closures just last December. So that's why we're here, to remind everyone that preparing your vehicle and your tires for winter road conditions is essential, and following Colorado's winter driving laws is also essential. The traction law itself is a little complex, but the basic idea is make sure you've got the right tires for the conditions. Driving up to the I-70 mountain corridor as if it's the middle of July is not going to work the same as it will in December. The cold, like we have today, changes the way that your vehicle responds. The rubber in your tires gets hard, the moisture on the ground freezes up, and your vehicle does not respond the way that you're used to in the summer. So making sure that you've got the right tires for these type of conditions is really important. The traction law requires that two-wheel drive vehicles have winter-appropriate tires, which may have the mountain snowflake symbol on the side or mud and snow symbol on the side of them. And everyone must have at least 3/16 inch tread, which is about halfway between brand new and totally bald. So making sure that the tires are good on your vehicle is essential. For four-wheel drive vehicles as well, it's not just four-wheel drive, you also have to have at least 3/16 inch tread on your tires. And then being aware that your vehicle is not going to respond the way that you're used to when it's icy and cold, giving yourself enough distance and slowing down. I know CDOT and State Patrol remind people all the time, but really slowing down is the most important thing you can be doing when you're operating your motor vehicle on the road. The tandem snowplow law as well. We've got our snowplows out anytime there's winter conditions. Give them the respect that they deserve. These are professionals operating massive equipment, as you can see, and they are very, very, they don't need to be distracted by poor decision making on the road. So passing them either on the left or the right was always a bad idea. It's now actually against the law. Do not pass snowplows while they're in the safest place that you can be is right behind them, so let them do their work and enjoy the safety of driving on freshly plowed asphalt. As far as preparing your vehicle, making sure that your car is not just tire worthy for these conditions, but simple checks to do your windshield wiper fluid, making sure that you've got food and blankets and anything you might need in case you are stopped on the side of the road. It's mostly common sense, but again, we're here to remind everyone that winter is different than the conditions you're going to have in summertime, and you may find yourself on the side of the road for a couple of hours, so please prepare yourself. There are all kinds of information and suggestions for what to put in your vehicle on CDOT's website. Go to codot.gov for more information. And lastly, I want to remind everyone that if you don't want to drive and just ignore all of this, Snowstang is here to help get you to the mountains to go to the ski resorts. We are going to be launching our Snowstang season this upcoming Saturday. It'll be boarding at Union Station, at the Federal Center, and then the Woolly Mammoth Park and Ride near Red Rocks. And we've got buses going to Loveland, to A Basin, Breckenridge, Copper Mountain, and Steamboat Springs. And this will be running every weekend through early May. So again, go to the CDOT website and search Bustang for more information about that. Again, thank you all for coming, and we've got more great information now coming from Sergeant Troy Kessler with the Colorado State Patrol. Troy?
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for being here, everybody. The portion of this presser that I'd like to add is just kind of going back to some of the basics. Speed, space, and vehicle preparation. First, I want to touch on speed. Why are speed limits necessary? And what is the purpose? Basically, speed limits are set for normal, kind of optimal road conditions to ultimately enhance safety for all road users. That's the drivers, that's pedestrians, bicyclists, and anybody else on the roadway. I think the key word there really is optimal conditions. Optimal conditions is dry roads, no adverse weather conditions, and no other roadway hazard. Speed limits are like boundaries. They're kind of like a fence. If you stay within those boundaries or within the fence lines, you'll be safer for it. And traffic keeps moving. When you drive above the posted speed limit or a safe speed for the conditions, you open yourself and others to harm, not to mention other consequences involved in a crash. Speed limits don't mean you have to travel at that posted speed limit. You're required to be in control of your vehicle at all times. If you don't feel safe traveling at that posted speed limit, slow down, move to the right, and let others pass you. Faster the speed equals more distance traveled in the same amount of time. So what happens when a driver needs to respond to a hazard? You have less time essentially to react and ultimately observe that hazard. Throughout the year, speed is consistently one of the top causal factors in crashes. And it jumps to number 1 for injury crashes. Ultimately in the snow, if you don't have optimal driving conditions, you need to slow down. It's going to keep you safe. The distance it will take you to stop increases compared to stopping at the same speed on a dry road. It's easier to lose control of your vehicle, and really we want you to slow down so you can stay safe at all times, especially during the holidays. Next is space. I keep telling my daughter, who is now 16 years old and driving, that space is your friend. So I'll say it again. Space is your friend. And space is even more important in winter driving conditions. There is ultimately some space that you can control easier than others. So a good visual demonstration is just kind of like your arms. You can control everything out in front of you and kind of to the sides of you, but as you can see, my arms don't go behind me, so it's a little harder to control that space behind you. But the space that you can control will ultimately keep you safer. It'll allow you to react to those potential hazards on the roadway or other traffic in front of you, and to some extent allows you to influence the driver's behavior behind you. If you see a hazard and you have enough space to the front, that'll allow you to react safely so the other person behind you doesn't rear end you or lose control additionally. So a good rule of thumb, again, I know this is basic, but good rule of thumb is 1 car length per 10 miles per hour that you are traveling. Okay, another rule of thumb that you've heard probably is 2 seconds from the time a vehicle passes a fixed object to the time you pass that same object. The concept basically with that one is the faster you travel, the more space is generated in those 2 seconds. But again, the snow for the winter weather driving conditions over the holidays, it's even more crucial that you keep that space at the forefront of your mind. And then lastly, I just want to touch on vehicle preparation. Again, as Andy said, tire tread depth is vitally important. It's what is going to keep you on the roadway. It's going to keep you safe and allow you to react to any hazards on the roadway. It's already been touched on also, windshield wipers and fluid. Make sure your windshield wipers are new. Make sure that they operate properly. And when it comes to fluid, make sure you have the proper rating. Especially if you're coming from out of state and you're operating at a 0 degree rating, that's going to freeze pretty quickly. And on the highway, you're going to find yourself on the shoulder. And in snowy days like this, you don't want to be on the shoulder. And then lastly, clear the snow from your vehicle, all of your vehicle, not just your windshield, all of it. That will help you with a visual. It'll help you keep space. It'll help you see those hazards up ahead. And if you don't clear the top of the car off, when you stop, that snow will eventually slide down on your windshield, and you're going to have to get out and again put yourself at risk being hit by another driver. And as always in the State Patrol, we always advocate, please buckle up. On the chance you get in a crash, we want you to be safe, and do not ever, and I say ever, there are more ample opportunities, no excuse to drive impaired. Up next, we'll introduce Margaret Bose, Director of the I-70 Coalition.
Thank you, Sergeant Kessler. Again, I'm Margaret Bose, Director of the I-70 Coalition. We are a nonprofit organization made up of businesses and local governments throughout the Mountain Corridor. And while we're very much focused on long-term solutions for the Mountain Corridor, we also look to short-term strategies that can reduce congestion. It has never been easier to access the mountains and leave the driving to someone else. For folks that don't own a car, don't like to drive in the winter, or don't have adequate tires, services like Pegasus and Mustang make several round trips up the Mountain Corridor every day of the week. In addition, skiers and snowboarders can access Snow Staying Ski Bus that Andy mentioned. That is a bus that travels between Denver and the mountains to 5 different resorts. It travels every weekend all winter long. The I-70 Coalition is also partnering with a great carpool app called TreadShare. And that app connects drivers and passengers that are heading to the same destination and allows them to share a ride and split those associated travel costs. For folks, and we know there's lots of them that opt to drive their own car, there are other options to sitting in traffic. We have lots of resources to help them avoid congestion. One in particular is a travel forecast that the I-70 Coalition posts every Thursday. It's specific to the coming weekend. And it looks at historical traffic data, at weather and other factors that could impact someone's trip. And we give folks the best and the worst times to travel so that they can avoid that infamous weekend and holiday traffic. All of these resources, all of these travel options that I mentioned are all at a single website, goI70.com, and that really is the resource for folks that travel between Denver and the mountains and want to avoid traffic. So we're hopefully helping them have a delay-free, stress-free, safe trip up to their one destination. Sergeant Kessler talked about the traction law, but I think it bears hitting that point again. It is crashes, not traffic volume, that causes the worst of the delays on I-70, so we really encourage everyone to check their tires before they head up the hill. The I-70 Coalition really does look forward to working again this winter with CDOT, with Colorado State Patrol, with AAA of Colorado to arm folks with the travel information and the resources they need to get up to their mountain destination. So with that, I will turn it over to Skylar McKinley, who is the Regional Director for AAA Colorado. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, I'm Skylar McKinley. I'm with AAA. AAA has really had the privilege of keeping Coloradans safe on our roadways for more than a century now, and we are at our busiest at the year-end holidays. To that end, in the next few weeks, more than 115 million Americans will embark on what's shaping up to be the second busiest year-end holiday travel period on record. That is going to mean congestion. Per our analysis, drivers in and around the Denver metro might experience nearly double typical delays from I-25 to I-70 and beyond. So look, here's our ask to you. If you're stuck in traffic, keep your cool. Be a courteous driver. We're driving in Colorado. It's beautiful. Even on winter weather days, we have a lot to take in. You can be in control of your stress levels while you're driving. And remember, you can't be mad at traffic. You are traffic. When you call AAA for emergency roadside assistance, rest assured, we're coming. We're going to rescue you. It's what we do. It's what we love to do. It's why we do this business. It's what we've done since 1922. Just know that it might take us a little longer than normal because we're contending with wintry weather, choked up conditions, the same as you are. If you are safe at home, know that we have an obligation, and it's a moral one, to rescue those folks who are at the roadside first. So that's why we always ask, first thing we'll ask you on the phone is, are you in a safe location? If you are, no, it might take us a little bit longer than normal to get to you. From December 23rd through January 1st, we're expecting to rescue 950,000 drivers across the country. More than 10,000 of those will be in Colorado alone. The most common calls for emergency assistance are pretty easy. They're dead batteries and flat tires. Those are two issues you can address well before you head out. Make sure your tires, as we've talked about, are filled up to the number on your door jamb or listed in your owner's manual. Do that on a cold morning before you set out. Make sure you've got the right tires with the right tread. That's what life in Colorado requires. When it comes to your car battery, if it's been warning you for the past several months that it is not up for the cold weather, if it's older than 3 to 5 years old, consider a replacement before you head out. That's going to save you a breakdown, going to save you a headache, that's going to keep you on your way, and it's going to keep our road crews safe so we don't have to fix your battery at the roadside. And as always, as we've discussed, don't forget simple, cheap, do-it-yourself maintenance like replacing your wiper blades, which you should do 2 to 3 times a year in Colorado, filling up your wiper fluid. Finally, on the preparation side, make sure you have an emergency kit that might help get you out of a small jam or will keep you safe until help arrives, knowing that it's going to take AAA a little bit longer in winter conditions to get to you. What's in that? Well, tire chains, abrasive materials such as sand or kitty litter, a small shovel, a flashlight, an ice scraper, rags or paper towels, flares, other warning devices, booster cables, and a first aid kit. Most importantly, for life in Colorado, especially for those who might have moved here recently, keep extra winter clothes in your car, including blankets, jackets, gloves, everything for you and your passengers, and keep some snacks and some water in there as well. Finally, and most importantly, and new for this winter season, we have a new obligation to keep everybody safe on our roadways. Per Colorado's new slow down, move over protections signed into law by Governor Polis earlier this year, you must move over a lane or slow down at least 20 miles below the speed limit for any vehicle you see at the roadside with its hazards flashing. That's going to, of course, mean law enforcement. That means tow truck drivers. And by the way, it's a cold day. This is where our guys work every day at the roadside. It's freezing. It's dangerous. Protect those folks by moving over and slowing down. But now, protect other Coloradans by doing the same. Failure to abide by this new law will lead to a citation. State Patrol is out in force on this law. That's at best or a completely preventable tragedy at worst. Move over, slow down. That's all it takes to save a life. That's what it takes to keep our roadways moving. Thanks so much for your time and for the opportunity to serve you. And now I want to introduce John LeMay from CDOT Operations.
Thanks, Skylar. So you're going to hear me repeat a couple things or a couple themes here because obviously it's worth repeating. So I'm John LeMay. I'm the Director of Maintenance and Operations with the Colorado Department of Transportation. I want to let you know CDOT maintainers are always ready to respond to winter weather. In fact, we're always in some type of planning or operational cycle. For us, Colorado winter lasts all year long. Just a few statistics so you can see what we're up against and what we've accomplished recently. Each year, CDOT snowplow operators spend about 600,000 hours plowing a little bit more than about 6 million lane miles throughout the year. Each year, we spend about 10,000 hours conducting avalanche operations throughout the state. Each year, our crews spend about 75,000 hours maintaining our heavy equipment fleet like you see behind me. And each year, each of our highway maintainers spend an additional 80 hours a year in training for snowplow operations. So no matter how severe or mild the winter is in Colorado, I can promise you that Colorado's Department of Transportation's 227 maintenance patrols are ready for whatever comes their way. So I ask the traveling public, are you ready? And again, I'm repeating these mantras here. Are you prepared to take it slow? Are you prepared to leave space for the vehicles around you? Stay alert and focus on your driving. Drive the current weather conditions and the current road conditions. No matter how many plows I put on the road, and we have almost 900 of them, it's never going to be enough. Heavy snow, freezing temperatures result in slippery conditions, poor visibility, and contribute to the risk of higher accidents as a result. So are you prepared for weather delays? Because they're going to happen. Despite our best efforts, we cannot beat Mother Nature at her own game. Colorado is a place of extreme weather. It can catch you off guard. You could leave the airport and it'd be sunny and 60 degrees, drive up the I-70 mountain corridor and run smack into a blizzard. And it often catches people off guard. So make sure that in your car, whether you're a daily commuter, whether you're going on vacation, or whether you're from out of state, you have extra warm clothes with you, some types of snacks and food, water, whatever type of medicine you might need, and a cell phone with a charger. Is your car prepared? Whether you're a car, a truck, or a CMV, you need to have the right tires, good wipers like you heard already mentioned, washer fluid. I cannot tell you how many times we've come across people who are on the side of the road in dangerous condition just because they didn't have washer fluid. 99 cents a bottle. It's well worth it. Make sure you have a full tank of gas, specifically if you're leaving the metro area and you're heading up into the mountains, because you never know what might happen. And if you're a CMV operator, make sure that you have chains on and take the opportunity to put your chains on if the conditions warrant it. If you must drive in bad weather, it's best to be prepared and drive defensively like you heard earlier. Be patient. Patience is the key. Plan your route and have an alternate route. Some of the alternate routes throughout Colorado are subject to additional hours because the mountains that we go to are so restrictive. They require our alternate routes to basically add hours onto your trip. So be prepared for that. And then I promise you you'll get there safety. And one thing I really want to talk about, and I believe this is why I'm here, is every year we have several plow versus car accidents throughout Colorado. Now I promise you our operators are out there doing a really important job, keeping the economy moving, keeping people and getting people from one point to the other and keeping commerce on the move. So they're out there at 2 o'clock in the morning, they're out there on the weekends, they're out there during holidays, and they're out there to ensure that everybody gets to where they need to go. But beware, plows move at a really reduced speed. Even in nice weather, plows move at a reduced speed. While they're conducting plowing operations, they operate between 25 and 35 miles an hour, and they will not move out of your way. 3 rules of the road when encountering a snowplow is never pass on the right. Our plows are designed to push snow and ice and debris off to the right, and if you pass on the right, you will actually end up encountering all that heavy, wet snow. Could damage your car and send you into a ditch or into another obstruction or another vehicle. So we wear that flying debris. The best way to get out of trouble is to not get in it, so never pass a plow. Never pass a tandem or echelon plowing while it's occurring. It's considered a mobile work zone, and it's actually against the law. Tandem plows are when you have multiple plows in a staggered configuration. They're often tight together to prevent motorists from passing between them because it is dangerous. They create their own weather system, if you will, or whiteout conditions in between the vehicles. The rear of the vehicles are often covered with packed snow. So you can't see their brake lights, and sometimes you can't see any hazards around the plows, and if the plows have to come to a sudden stop or slow down, cars will slide into the back. Every time a car hits the back of a snowplow, it usually takes that snowplow out of the fight, if you will, or the winter fight, and costs the taxpayers between $30,000 and $50,000 to replace one of these complicated sanding boxes that you see behind us. And then never tailgate. As I just mentioned, sometimes you can't see the lights, but these plows weigh about 70,000 pounds fully loaded. They take a few seconds to stop, but they will come to a stop, and oftentimes a motorist can't tell that because of the conditions, and they'll actually slam into the back of the plow, as I mentioned. And the last thing I'd like to say is, if you're a motorist and you're going from point A to point B in Colorado, no matter what time of the year it is, download the CoTrip app and plan your route on the CoTrip app. It has everything that our traffic operations centers have in a mobile device, and it really does work, and it is the latest and greatest or the most current information that we have available. So with that, I want to thank my colleagues for coming out here. It's a great maintainer day, as you can see here. So thank you for everybody for coming out, and that's it. Thank you.